Hello and welcome to a special edition of Nightmare Story of the Other Side with our special guest, the Pythian Priestess. The Pythian Priestess is an initiated priestess who practices Western Hermetics, ceremonial magic, and witchcraft. She has been studying and practicing magic for over half of her life. She rose to TikTok fame in 2019 and has been teaching magic online since she was at the Pythian Mystery School.
All right. If you want to welcome in and if you want to give us a little more history on yourself, and then we can jump right in.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley. My user handle is Pythian Priestess, which is based after the Pythia, who was a priestess in Delphi in ancient Greece. I wanted to be a priestess my entire life, but I was told by the Catholic Church that because I am a woman, I would not be able to do priestcraft work. And so I found my own way. I started studying when I was in high school and spent a lot of time exploring different facets of the craft. Witchcraft and Hermeticism are two different things. And I practice Solomonic magic, and I have been so blessed to bring my history and knowledge of this work to the broader audience.
All right. So, for in the beginnings, so what's an initiation of becoming a Hermetic priestess look like?
I can't tell you that. I took an oath of secrecy, and
Okay.
so
Oh,
I can't talk about it.
All
okay.
right. Fair enough.
Yeah. I go to a non-denominational church, and women can't be anything on the board or anything in that church either, and that's always just kind of surprised me.
Yeah, it's really disappointing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, just kind of reading through my bullet points here. So, what are some practices you do to help those connect to divinity?
Oh, yeah. So that is a large point, I think, of magic and mysticism. A lot of people today say, oh, it's about getting stuff or manifesting, and that's nice, and that's definitely a part of magic. But the greater interest is connecting with something beyond yourself. And so I created an online school called Pythian Mystery School, where I teach people different forms of divination and meditation. I teach them how to craft their own spells and rituals in order to connect to higher powers.
Okay. So you could help me with the meditation then. I have a hard time with it.
Yeah, I actually created a free resource for people called Pause with Pythian Podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, where I create guided meditations and breathwork meditations to help people create consistency and
Okay.
discipline.
That's awesome. Yeah, with energy healing, how does that work?
Well, are you talking about like there's so many different forms of that, right? Like energy healing is a broad topic. And then there are different systems. Just like on your laptop, you may have a Mac or you may have a Dell or PC.
Hmm.
It's the same idea, the same kind of computing system, but with different hardware. So Reiki is different than, let's say, something like prana healing.
Okay.
Um, but it's a all magic, in my opinion, it comes from the same place, and that's source. And then eventually it gets refracted like a rainbow to Earth, and we all have different understandings of a greater power. So everyone has electromagnetic energy in their
Hmm.
body. It's created by your heart. And some people who are trained can actually move and manipulate that energy.
Yeah.
Let's see, where do I want to go? So another bullet point I have here is like, how does one go about protecting your aura?
Mm,
Hmm. So I can share some tips on this. I actually have a whole classroom dedicated to paranormal protection. I call it the Paranormal Protection Toolkit. Protecting your aura, it's something that you would need to do consistently unless you made something like a talisman or a spell to wear on yourself. But one example is wearing crystals,
mhm,
like I am here. So I'm wearing, this is black obsidian. So this absorbs any negativity that's near my heart or near my throne. I have a selenite, which cleanses the space. And then I wear a moldavite, which is not a rock. It is a meteoroid glass that hit the earth several thousand years ago in the Czech Republic. And
there's
so,
my selenite.
very cool. Yeah. So, selenite is great. And a lot of people wonder about size. Does size matter? If I have a larger piece when I'm cleaning my whole aura, because it would take a very long time with just a tiny necklace. But that's a great example. At Pythian Mystery School, I teach you like the different levels of your aura because energy gets stuck in different places. And when you have leaks and if you have weak boundaries, like things can attach to you. So there's a lot of different opportunities and ways to protect your aura, but the easiest one would probably be crystals.
Mm.
All right. So for like the Pythian Mystery School, is that like something anybody can do or like virtually or in person?
So, as long as you're over 18 years old, you can join Pythian Mystery School. I do an interview process because I want to make sure that everyone who's in the school is going to respect the guidelines of the school and make sure that you're here for the right reasons. Like, I'm not going to teach you like how to manifest your best life. Like, we're here to do serious work and levels. I want to make sure that I know where you'll best fit in because there are things that, even I can't teach. I don't know everything. So if you're looking for something that maybe I don't have, I can refer you to another person. But
Mm.
I think I do a pretty good job of covering the practitioner aspect. So, becoming a master of ceremony, learning about how to craft rituals, all the different modalities of rituals from poppets to candles to dream work. That's just one course. And some people, I do have apprentices in Los Angeles that I see on a regular basis, but um, it's open to anyone. We're international, so we have people from the Netherlands, from Australia, from India, from Japan. We have many different nationalities, but it is predominantly women and non-binary. But we do have a couple of straight men, and I appreciate their presence. Again, the school's open to anyone.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't mind going through a few things.
So sorry. Hold on. Sorry about that.
Oh,
No,
that's
that's
good.
good.
Yeah, if you're interested in having an interview with me, you can go to pythianmysteryschool.com and you
Okay.
scroll down and there will be an interview opportunity for you. I book only 5 days in advance to make sure so that people will be able to come. So if you don't see a slot that works for you, just wait till next week when new times open up.
Okay. That works. So,
So, oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Chad, go ahead. No, you
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Bro.
Well, yeah, when you were with Sam and Colby for their Hell Week gig, how were they with that?
No, that's a really loaded question. You're going to need to break that down some more for me.
Was it fun working with them?
Yeah, I love working with the Sam and Colby.
Yeah,
Those guys are wonderful. They're very good at their job. I've never had any issues with their team or anything like that. I know that there's been controversy online about whether or not they fake their stuff. I don't think they do. All my experiences with them and all the magic I've done with them has been 100% real.
sure. No, that was a neat episode to watch.
So, what are some experiences that weren't in the episode that you experienced when you were with them at Farrar?
Well, I wasn't at Farrar for super long. I mean, I don't when I work there, I'm really focused on the task at hand. So, I didn't spend a lot of time ghost hunting at Farrar. I did have some premonition dreams before I went to Farrar where I did talk to a land spirit. I do believe it was of a Native American descent. Um, I had an intermediary spirit of someone that I knew before who had connections to the Native people and was acting as like the intermediary for us.
Mm.
Um, I think that if I was to go back to Farrar, I would want to explore more of that aspect and give a voice to the Native people. I also don't trust children ghosts, so I'm not really interested in talking to them.
Uh,
Didn't we get something when we were just there, what, a week ago now?
Mhm.
uh,
Didn't we get something on the guy's spirit watch, or whatever, that had something to do
Oh,
with
the docking
natives?
was in
yeah,
it was like
I think so.
yeah,
And when we were out by the grave that they dug out and back, he was talking about the guy, how it was native land originally, and
mhm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, we definitely had some interesting experiences when we were there. I had my sweatshirt pulled like what, 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I can't
And
remember
one
what
of
I
the other
said.
girls we were with, she got touched in the back a lot.
mm,
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think ghosts know not to do that with me because I put down very serious boundaries because I'm there to do work. I'm not there to
Mhm.
play.
yeah, yeah, and I'm not sure where it was at. Yeah, if it was at Farrar or yeah, the Roadhouse in Illinois. But yeah, the day after I got back, yeah, I noticed a big scratch on the back of my head here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's weird stuff that goes down there. I did not appreciate my scratch when I
Yeah,
received it. Um, that was my fault. I shouldn't have stepped outside of the boundary. A lot of lessons were learned. That was my first time ever capturing a spirit in a jar.
no, yeah.
So for the paranormal, like what other kind of investigations or experiences have you been part of?
So I actually just shot a show called Exploring Haunted America. I shot
Mm,
it in January of 2025, where we went to several haunted locations within Texas, including Yorktown, which was a hospital, and then insane asylum. That was really rough. That was probably one of the roughest places I've ever been.
no,
We actually had two physical objects thrown at us, at the crew. Um, and I did a lot of magic too to make sure that bad stuff wouldn't happen because um, I can have experiences in my bedroom. Right, when I'm going into these places, I'm going in with purpose and intention. I'm not just there to like have the scares. That doesn't interest me anymore. But I can say that Yorktown did scare me. That there were a
yeah,
couple times where I was genuinely, there was fear.
yeah. What other
So
places were you at in Texas?
Um, I don't remember the name of the jail specifically, but I know it's in I would think Jacksonville, Texas.
Okay,
Um, this oh the oh it's I just remember as the old jail. It was very triggering for me because I used to be a ghost hunter and ghost tour guide in St. Augustine, Florida, where I
okay,
worked at the old jail in St. Augustine.
sure.
And I had some really negative experiences of a sexual nature with the spirits there. The ghosts were very, I mean, they're prisoners. They're murderers and rapists and God knows what else. And that situation at the jail in Texas, it was a moment to overcome for me. Like it was a moment of, I am going to conquer this fear, this of my past,
Yeah,
and know that the spirits don't have control over me. I think that's what a lot of people who go into this, they think they don't have any power.
hmm,
And especially when I was young, I wasn't initiated. I was initiated at 20. I turned just 28
Okay.
So like it's only been like 5 years since I've been initiated. But it's that was the jail was really hard. Um, but the worst one was the Bolton Street House. Um, and that was actually Vicky from Sam and Colby's movie in 2024. The psychic there, it's actually her home, and we went there. And I can't talk a lot about it, but we almost died, and that's going to be like the pilot episode. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I a lot of stuff went wrong. A lot of things went really, really bad. And we were attacked in a way that I don't think anyone should ever have to experience. But that's
Huh.
what happens when you don't listen.
I lost my train of thought. We were dealing with a very cranky cat trying to get in here.
I understand. I have a cranky cat too.
Uh,
It seems like every podcast she always has to be in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're
wants,
you're doing something without her. How dare you?
Right.
yeah, yeah. Wants to be the star of the show.
I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so let's jump back to the mystery school here for a minute.
Mhm.
So what does a day in the school look like? How would it run?
Oh, so it's not um the way that I've set Pythian Mystery School up is to be international. So we do have different people from different time zones. So on Monday, I post a shadow work question in the journal that people will answer throughout the week. We also have our own instant chat room, like an AOL chat room from like the 2000s, where people can come in and they can chat with each other, voice chat, ask questions if like they experience something weird. They can also post like in our forums. So we have like a community share. If someone found something weird on their rock or they had a realization they want to share, they're welcome to share it there. Um, I take my mentees, they schedule on their own time. So anywhere between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., I'm talking to people. Um, and then I teach a class once a month on the third Saturday where
Okay.
if you can't make it, that's okay. It's recorded and you can review it later. And I also do office hours. I am working to extend my office hours to be more internationally friendly, but my schedule can be pretty variable. So I have to add like extra time there for people in the other side of the world. And then once a month, we all vote to watch a horror movie because who doesn't love horror movies?
Right.
Uh,
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Chad, do you have
yeah.
anything?
With ceremonial magic, yeah. How does that work?
Another loaded question. That's a very long answer. So I guess we'll start with what is ceremonial magic? Ceremonial magic is working with entities above Earth. So there's the ethers or the what we call the Empyrean realm, heaven. Then there's the earthly realm, and then there's the subterranean realm. And ceremonial magic, s- it's a hierarchy. So things that are higher in vibration can control things that are lower. And
Mhm.
so I work with angels from lots of different, not just Bibles, like there's different energies for planets and for certain situations that I need help with, the elements. And so the goal is to gain mastery over those things within myself. So the different aspects of me being a very moderate person, I don't sway in extremes, or at least I try not to. It's very difficult, but you have practices that you're given to temper the personality and to help you be, like I said, more moderate, more temperate. And oh, my light just died. Hold on a second. Get in.
could.
Hmm. Okay, is it gonna stay? Nope. Hold on, guys. 1 second.
No, you're good.
I don't want to change the location of that because it's gonna change the lighting. Let's just do that. Come on. Please work with me. There we go. This is embarrassing. Hold on, guys. Do
Oh,
this.
you're fine.
Okay.
You could?
There we go.
The joys of live podcasts, always the technical difficulties.
Yeah, I know, right? Um, so ceremonial magic, it's something that has been passed down and rewritten for centuries. You first see its inklings in ancient Greece with something called the Eleusinian Mysteries. You may know famous people like Socrates and Plato and Pythagoras who were initiated into it. Pythagoras even created his own mystery school. And that is very interesting. Like, of course, it was a secret, but we do see around the world that there were people who were sharing mystic and esoteric ideas. So Western esotericism has ideas that come from what looks like now, which would be Iran and Persia and Pakistan. This is the Zoroastrianism, and it's amazing. So all of this knowledge has been passed down and reworked through different languages into something in 2025 that maybe not historically perfect, but it still works as a system.
Let's see where. So for doing your tarot readings, how do they work for you? Like, virtually and in person. Like, how do you go about? Because I know everybody has different strategies for tarot readings.
Oh, I can do tarot readings anywhere, any place. I prefer a place that is mine, because my energy boundaries are already set. Um, but the cards are carried in a special pouch that it's blessed to protect them from any outside forces. I cleanse them before every reading with either a crystal or my own prayer. I say a prayer silently, asking that the cards may be accurate and that they open up into the mind of the source so I can like have true and accurate readings. Um, it's done a pretty good job for me now. If I ever do, there's a handful of times, every year where I get something wrong and it's like, oh, it's because I interpret it wrong. The cards are never wrong. It's always a user error.
And have you done a lot virtually or just mainly all in person?
2,000 of them virtually, probably more
Nice.
than that. Yeah, if you look at the Etsy sales, it's right around 2,000. But there's like I've done hundreds of readings to people in person over the last 5 years, even through COVID. There is a difference, but I find that for me, my clients don't, unless they want to see me personally, they still get the answers that they want.
Hmm.
All right. So let's kind of jump into your podcast and talk about that a little bit that you
Yeah.
do.
hmm Yeah, so Pause with Pythian is a free resource that I started because a lot of people tell me that they really struggle with meditating and they like listening to my voice. So that's cool. Meditation is something that I struggled with a lot when I was younger. I think as you get older and the more that you do it, it does become easier and you might actually even start to crave it because we live in a very distracted world. Live in a world where your phone's pulling your attention, TV's pulling your attention, podcasts, text messages, notifications, Instagram, TikTok, you get the idea. And I find that through the podcast, it's really helped me grow as a practitioner, learning to create these guided visualizations and also diving into older books and older teachers and referencing them. So looking at people from like Ram Dass, for example, I really appreciate Ram Dass's input. I've been reading a book called Be Here Now, which has been very influential in the podcast itself. I also look to oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. Alan Watts. I really love Alan Watts. And his voice is actually like the intro to the show, where it says, meditation is supposed to be fun. It's a kind of grooving with the here and now. And it brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life is to be here and now. Obviously, I've listened to it a lot.
So, how many podcast episodes do you think you have out there?
I currently have 20 that are
Mhm.
available for streaming, either on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There are videos. There's not as many videos as there are. Maybe there's 20 videos, but they're all some of them are chats like this, like I would talk to you, and it's just me sharing my experiences and ideas about meditation, and then some of it is actually the meditation itself.
Okay. So, over the years, like, what are some of the most unusual experiences you've encountered or miraculous events?
So I think one of the strangest events that I've had, and it's happened to me twice, is the loss of time and the passage of time. Sometimes when you're in ritual, uh, you go into this trance state, and you can the altered mind state lasts for a while. And so you look at the clock, you're like, oh, it's midnight. You look again, it's 2:30. You look again, it's 4:30. You look again, it's 7 in the morning, and you're like, oh my God. But it feels like minutes have passed. It's very strange. Like, because your mind is experiencing time and space differently. While that is not a like a scary story necessarily, I think it's even scarier because your mind is in a different state and you are not yourself. And so I've noticed that after working with the guys and doing intensive workings, that I'm not always Ashley. Like there's different elements of gods or goddesses that I've called in that are in there, and I'm in an altered state of consciousness temporarily. If you want a scary story, mm, I think one of the scariest encounters that I've had uh, was watching a thought form knock over an angel and decapitating its head.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
Yep. And no, I was not stoked with that. And also, this wasn't caught on camera. It was, I had witch bells, which are used to like shake away negativity. You literally, sorry, usually you shake them and then it makes the spirit go away. And I hung them up and it went through and shook them by themselves. We were taking still photos at the time, no one was recording, and it was like making fun of me. And I was not happy about that.
Chad, your turn. You got anything
So,
else you want to talk about?
one thing that I've always thought was interesting is the spirits that mimic voices, mimic sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you think that goes along with like being a shapeshifter and stuff like that?
You're getting into the realm of cryptids, right? And I'm not a cryptologist. I don't know anything about cryptids, but I do know about spirits. And mimics are real. Um, Thankfully, I have never had to encounter one. Um, I've been grateful for that. Those are very tricky spirits.
Yeah.
Um, Probably not of your highest good. You see them in a lot of different cultures. You see them in the Appalachian Mountains in America. You also see them in Japan. You see them in tribes in Africa. Like you see them in a lot of different folklores, even in like Norse folklore. So I do think that those spirits exist, but they are nothing I would want to mess with.
Now, like when we were at Rock Island last weekend in Illinois, I had necrophonics on, and there was like a whole conversation that was my voice coming through
Mhm.
necrophonics.
Yeah, I don't
It
like that.
was just different.
Yeah, no, no, thank you.
And then, like for me, we were at Edinburgh Manor in Iowa
Two
on
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago on Easter, and our whole team, they were in the cafeteria area, and I
Mm.
was in the kitchen checking out a noise. And off to my left, about what, 5, 10 feet, I heard Natalie say "Dad" in my left ear, clear as day, and she was nowhere near me.
I wasn't
Mm.
even talking when he heard it, so it's like,
I'm just
uh,
like, okay,
And
just trying to lure me away.
Hmm.
yeah, and then after I walked you guys out, and I was stayed in there by myself. Heard your voice come through, and I thought you were going to walk through the door. I thought I didn't lock the door right. You came in,
Yeah, I remember you
so
saying that.
yeah,
Yeah, that does not sound like a good time. That sounds really scary.
mhm.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah. I was in there for 6 hours by myself.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, one other thing I have, and then we can go back to Chad. So, what are your take and on Ouija boards?
Mm. The Ouija board, uh, TDL, no, not TDL, Ouija boards LTD. There you go. I'm dyslexic, so LTD. They're not good tools. Like spirit boards are real, and there are proper ways to make them. I've made my own. I've blessed and consecrated it. I painted painstakingly every letter and number and made sure that it was a board that would not harm anyone. I think the biggest mistake is that the Ouija boards, the planchette's wrong. That's not how it's supposed to be made. It's supposed to be a triangle, not a heart. And you're supposed to have a clear crystal, like a quartz or a Herkimer diamond, in the eyelet instead of plastic. So, yeah, and glass isn't good enough either. You need a crystal. We're doing spiritual work. This isn't a play toy. I think that I think the Ouija board has its own current now. I think that people have had really bad experiences with it because they're not properly trained. They don't know the procedure behind it. Like there is a very specific procedure to put the spirit. First of all, it doesn't go in the board. It doesn't even go in the planchette. It goes in its own circle. I make a separate circle. We're separated. And I allow the spirit to use the crystal to move the planchette. That's how it works. And honestly, that board has worked better with Sam and Colby. Like it's amazing how well that they use it. I've used it with a lot of people. And there are times where, people are always like, well, are they faking it? Are they faking the usage? No, and I know they're not because the first time I ever worked with them with the board at Hell Week, the Conjuring House 2023. There was a moment that I don't think got caught on camera. Maybe it did. Um, no, it definitely made it on camera, but it didn't make it into the final cut. The board, the planchette was stuck between A to Z, A to Z. And the spirit sometimes gets stuck in a loop, especially if they're very, very old. And I said, I can't remember the name of the spirit. I was like, stop. The guys did not know I was going to say stop. They didn't know I was going to command it. And the plancha immediately went quiet. And as soon as there wasn't a second delay, a 2 second delay. As soon as I said stop, it stopped moving. And they wouldn't have known that.
That's pretty
Yeah, I've
cool.
only used one once. It went to a few different things, and then it just kind of died off. Like the spirit left or whatever.
Yeah, spirits do that. Sometimes they just leave. They don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
So for haunted locations, do you have a favorite location that you've been to?
I feel like most of the time when I go to haunted locations, it's not a very enjoyable experience. Um, I cannot say that I'm like, oh, that was so fun. I loved being scared. I really enjoyed like um especially when we were filming the show that like I do have a favorite location when we I really loved the the fancy hotel in Galveston, Texas. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's just called the Galveston or something. That was really pretty. But I guess if I had to choose like a favorite, it'd have to be my undergrad, Flagler College in St. Augustine, Florida. It's so pretty. The ghosts were not, I didn't really mess with them, but I know my dorm was haunted because I had one experience where a woman in black would like stand over me when I was sleeping.
Hmm.
I didn't love that. Um, so, but it's a really pretty place and I love that school, so I guess I'm gonna choose that one.
Fair enough. So one last thing I have on my bullet point. So like when I was going through your Instagram, there was something on there, 24 lessons from 2024. Can you shed a little light on that?
Oh
What
yeah.
those were?
Mm, I needed content. And it's the end of the year. I was thinking like I'd have to remember all of them. I know that a big part of those lessons were, everyone goes through things throughout their life, and 2024 was a particularly hard year for me. I had a lot of intense experiences with my health, um, and like learning what's important to me. Let's see, final lessons. Not everyone will understand your path, and that's okay.
Hmm.
I've been an outsider my entire life. I think that is something I really didn't understand. I don't understand why people didn't like me. It's very common, and I think because like my mom would say, walk to the beat of my own drum or dance to it or whatever. And not everyone's gonna get it, and I don't care anymore. Because I love me and I love what I do. Number two is the goddess doesn't need perfection, she needs presence. I think that's very true. I think a lot of us, like we talked about earlier in the podcast, are very distracted. We're sucked into all these other things that no one thinks about the divine. They don't think about the esotericism. It's not interesting. It doesn't have flashing lights. It's not going to give you a notification. Why bother?
Hmm.
So just showing up is a big part of it. If daily devotion feels like a chore, it's a sign to reconnect to the magic that brought you into the path in the first place. That's about living lifestyle. Magic isn't a hobby. It isn't something that you just do once in a while. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you do and you live and you breathe every day. Number four is healing, growth, and transformation are your powers. Yeah, I still agree with that. I think that a lot of people are very bitter, and we see a lot of discourse in our political arenas, our social media arena, that's all about tearing people down, and I'm about building people up.
All right. Sounds good. Chad, do you have anything else?
Not that I can think of, no.
Yeah, I kind of, touch base on everything I have written down. Um, so like one last thing I can think of, do you have just for like any words of wisdom that you could give people that watch this podcast about life or anything in general?
Know thyself. Don't spend your time putting your attention elsewhere. Look inward. That's where all the answers are.
Hmm. I'd have to agree with that.
That's very good advice.
It's not mine. It's That's from ancient Greece. That was written on the temple of the Pythia.
Hmm.
Do you have anything?
Nope. You guys like, I don't know.
You
No,
don't know?
no,
No Sam and Colby questions?
no.
Since you're the Sam and Colby person in the house. All right. So I think that's all we have. So we always end the podcast with, you know, giving you an opportunity to let people know where they can find you on social media and websites and all that stuff.
Yeah, of course. You all can find me across social media as Pythian Priestess. That's spelled Pythian Priestess on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and you can find my podcast, Pause with Pythian, on a lot of different channels as well.
All right. Well, we thank you for taking some time and joining us tonight, and we appreciate it.
And thank you, Matthew.
Yeah.
It was really great to meet all of you.
Yes.
Yeah, you
And
too.
you have
Thank you.
a great rest of your late afternoon, early evening, and we're evening here. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's time to go make dinner.
yep. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your night.
Thanks. Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
thank
Yep.
you.
Bye.
Bye.